AACPS offers 2 times in the school year where parents and teachers can connect to talk about student achievement. Through parent-teacher conferences, AACPS understands that the relationship between parents and teachers is valuable for student success. But let's talk about what the parent-teacher conference actually looks like, in case you have questions. Ms. Jakovics, if you could just introduce yourself and then just tell us a bit about your role here in the school.
So I'm Kim Jakovics. I'm one of the assistant principals at Corcoran Middle School. My role in the parent-teacher conference experience has been really to help plan the event for our parents and students and teachers so that it's a full team partnership, so that students are really ready to share their work in progress as well as their best work, some work that is not quite there yet, and communicate with their parents their goals, their experiences thus far in middle school, what they wish yet to accomplish, and their strategies and actions that they've planned to help them get there. Mm-hmm. So far in the school, we've been working during homeroom time in the mornings to really build a portfolio that highlights all of the students' work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Michael Kahn. I'm one of the school counselors here at Corcoran Middle School. My role in the conference is varied. I'm supporting students in creating those portfolios that they can share with their families, in contact with families, letting them know that the different types of conference structures we have, whether they're coming in for a student-led conference or if they need a team conference with their teachers, I can help facilitate that and make sure that that is set up with their teachers. And then just kind of answering questions as conferences are coming through, letting families know about school policies and updating them on anything that they need to know regarding conferences.
So you guys bring up a good point, that our conferences here and in some of our schools are student-led, and in some places they're sort of the more traditional where parents and teachers really just sit down and have more of an intimate conversation. So can you talk a bit about both models? Let's talk a bit more about the student-led and what that actually looks like, and then we'll talk about the more traditional that people are familiar with.
So at Corcoran, we do offer both. And I know that will differ from school to school. In a student-led conference, parents should be prepared to come in with their child at the time at which they signed up and made a time reservation. The student has gathered together all of the work samples that they want to share, and really the student is taking the reins and leading the conference with the parent. It's a time for the parent and guardian, our family member who's coming with the child and the student, to really study the student's work. So it begins with the student sharing some things about them. Our students have created a future flow map, where they want to go in the future. Then they've written SMART goals that will help them to get there. So they'll share that with their parent and then start going through their work samples as evidence of action toward their goal. And it really is a conversation with the parent and the child, or the guardian and the child. It's meant to be that very sacred time between them where they really study and discuss the student's work. There are no teachers present for that part. It really is just a conversation that the child leads. We use those portfolios in the traditional teacher conference as well. So if there's a need, or the parent or teacher so believes that a traditional conference is necessary, they make that contact with each other. And then we still use that portfolio as a foundation for the conference. So the student's an active participant because we're all a team, the educators, the guardians, and the children. The children will use that portfolio, open the conference, and then continue in more of a dialogue that includes the teacher.
And it's interesting because, I mean, now in this age of Parent Connect, where we have this resource where parents can actually check on their kids' homework online and their classwork to make sure they're keeping up, and email where they can always sort of reach out to a teacher. This is sort of the next step, but you know, it's for those parents especially too who don't have that constant contact, correct?
I think it's good for all parents, regardless of the level of contact we have with the school. I think for parents and their child, or the guardian and the child, to sit down together and really just ask questions about their work and what they're getting out of school, and how they're questioning and how they're writing and what they're learning from their reading, how they express themselves through all of the disciplines and all of their encores, is just a powerful time. It's a powerful experience together. So I think parents who are highly connected, who are involved in schools, who volunteer and think they know everything that's going on with their kid and in the school, it's still really important to come. If your student is a straight A student, I think it still lends insight to what the child is experiencing as a student on a day-to-day basis and how they view themselves and where they want to go. So it's just, I think, a really valuable time for families.
And Mr. Khan, what kind of value do you see or have you seen in the growth of the actual, student? This is sort of empowering for a student.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine many middle school families are first taken aback by the change from going from the elementary school model of conferences to the middle school. So we really try to coach our students, say this is how you advocate for yourself and this is how you describe how well you're doing at school. And so I think that they walk out of the conference, I see students usually walking in very nervous to present to their families about, and then they walk out very confident and they feel a great sense of accomplishment in being able to lead a conference and show what they're doing well in school.
Now, conferences are usually always aligned with report card distribution, usually shortly after. So parents have a bit of time to study those grades. And again, even with Parent Connect, they have those grades right in front of them. And report cards have now been adjusted to reflect the new state standards and so forth. Do you go over that, or do you come prepared to talk about sort of those grade reports as well?
Our students receive grade reports periodically and they include them in their portfolios. So they have their interim report, grade sheets with specific grades, and then their report card will all be in their portfolio. And the students have studied those and made action plans to help address those grades and if those grades are moving them toward their goals as we've gone through the marking period. And they'll continue to do that through the year so that the portfolio still remains a powerful thing for the student to guide their growth and progress.
We talked a little bit about, again, that very important connection between parent and school, families and school. So what about those who aren't as connected? Like, what do we do to make sure we're reaching them, especially during this time?
So here at Corcoran especially, we are constantly trying to reach out to families. We're trying to extend that invitation. I know through our program, we want to have as many families as we can. We know it's not possible sometimes to get everyone. People travel, people are doing different things. One thing that this year I know Mr. Kovacs has spearheaded is that every student, if they're not here for conferences, is then going to still present to a faculty member with their portfolio. So then that way also that faculty member, if need be, can also reach out to a family and say, this is what we're seeing presented, just to make sure that communication is as open as much as possible.
And then what about cultural or language barriers on top of that?
So any family that needs an interpreter, we're working very hard once we know that to make sure that there's someone here who can help interpret for them. We want the school, all of our schools, I'm sure in Anne Arundel County, to be open, welcoming places. So, partly it's us knowing our families and knowing who needs that and inviting them in a time and a place that's comfortable for everyone and then provides the support and services they need so they can fully participate in their child's education. Again, we're a team, so if we don't open the doors to the families and do a good job helping them to feel welcome, then our team will be too weak to lead to student success. Like, we have to do that for them. It's imperative to what we do that they feel that they can come and be active in their child's education. So there will be those types of services for our parents. We have been reaching out. We're calling this week if we haven't heard back from families. Our homeroom teachers are calling families and inviting them to make that reservation, that sacred time to come and share their students' work. So we are actively pursuing them and inviting them in. So hopefully that will get 100% of our families coming in some way to participate.
How valuable do you think it is to now have another opportunity, right, later in the school year, just before standardized testing begins again, to have another chance to connect with parents?
I think the more opportunities, the better, as always. What we're doing in the fall can be very different from what we're doing in the spring. In the fall, we're kind of making sure, I think, still that we're accomplishing where we need to be so that we can move forward. In the spring now, we're trying to say, okay, what have we missed, or what do we still need to do to finish up the year strong? So it's a great second opportunity to connect with families and let them know, what we're doing here.
I think for a long time, families and teachers have bemoaned that November is just the end of the first marking period, so we're 1/4 of the way through the year, and really those opportunities to discuss student progress are needed throughout the year. So getting it at the halfway point for the next conference will be, I think, really a very powerful time to measure if students are making the progress we need them to make, right? That we want them to make.
And parents get to come more informed, right? They've had that first conference, and when they come back, they get to discuss that progress in more detail. But I also wonder, as educators, what do you think parents should come equipped with? What kind of questions or information do you wish that they would share with you to help you do your jobs?
It's a really good question. We do help, like, prompt the parents questioning and the guardians questioning. When they come to student-led conferences, we provide some think about questions, and actually we sent them home already in the letter that introduced student-led conferences to our parents, so they could start to think about and consider the types of questions they'll ask their child. About their strengths and weaknesses, about their academic behaviors, whether they're utilizing the resources and tools that we help provide, help days and lunch help, and are they using their agenda, whether this work is really a representative sample of their true ability, if they're living up to that potential, and if this really shows the gains they're making. So hopefully parents come thinking about like what they would like to know from their child about their child's work. And we do an exit survey, so anything that the parents would like to let us know and certainly give us feedback on the process or on their individual child, they can communicate in that way. We're all here through the day as well, so we'd be happy to hear from them. I really do think they should really just think about like, how they can better know their child through their child's conversation and their child's work.
And so, okay, so again, there's still a time period in between, and if there are families who really need maybe additional help after leaving a conference, what kind of support is provided to those families?
So we can certainly arrange more of the traditional parent-teacher conference if they feel like they need more direct direction from teachers. We can also follow up in any way. So, you know, obviously we love to have everyone in during this conference time, but we're open, you know, anytime really for families to come in and discuss student progress and to find ways to support that and increase it as much as we can.
Yeah, we typically follow up with the interdisciplinary team conferences or individual teacher parent conferences if needed. We have success conferences with our children throughout the year where they come and meet with their team members with their portfolio. So there are many, I think, ways to strengthen the parent, child, teacher, administrator, counselor connection. I think we're quite a big group in support of the children. And I think all that we need to know from parents is what they need. So if they just tell us and communicate with us, then we'll work and do our best to meet the needs of the child.
I think you said it best, you're a team, truly, so it's not even everyone's sort of in the same family working together.
Absolutely.
Definitely want to make them feel like you're a part of the family when it comes to supporting our young people. Right?
Absolutely.
So I do appreciate your time today, and hopefully this really helps parents out there be better prepared for parent-teacher conferences and ready to support their students.